A computer setup in the mid-90s came with a specific set of expectations: beige plastic, wired mice, and very clear hardware limitations. GlitchDeck's Mall leans into those constraints, presenting itself as a 256-color Raycaster dungeon crawler set inside a sparse, stagnant shopping mall from 1988. There are no traditional enemies to fight and no win state to achieve. Progress is measured exclusively by surviving the passage of time. This slow-paced environment builds a sense of predictability, a baseline the system is preparing to dismantle. As the pixelated brick wall begins tearing open to reveal a photorealistic void beneath, the true nature of the simulation surfaces. This 1992 facade is actually being generated by an AI-driven engine from 2025 called MallOS. The simulation's architecture mirrors an ancient Cray supercomputer, which employees describe as a cloud pressure heart buried beneath a sunken food court. MallOS functions as a procedural stress test, programmed to break down as its internal parameters fluctuate. The game engine itself is the primary antagonist, beginning to flex its computational power until the 1990s geometry can no longer contain it. This is the horror stack, an AI pipeline connecting player, toddler, zones, cloud, NPCs, and renderer. The cloud node acts as a global pressure gauge, tracking emotional tension, foot traffic, and temporal anomalies from 0 to 100. The pressure is driven by an entity called the toddler. It isn't a visible character, but a mathematical anomaly wandering the mall unseen by the player. As an entropy amplifier, the toddler's near proximity to your position mathematically forces the cloud pressure to spike. Fear emerges from this autonomous, steadily rising pressure cooker, forcing you to manage a system that is constantly moving toward a breaking point. Once cloud pressure reaches a critical threshold, the 1992 raycasting fails. A flat, pixelated shadow dynamically morphs into a ray-traced shadow with soft, realistic edges. The engine uses specific zones to fuel this distortion. The noise and entropy of the arcade serve as the prime origin point for spatial tension. This severe breakdown extends to the NPCs. These LLM-powered entities begin to break character, quoting their own error logs or directly addressing the player as the simulation loses its internal coherence. When the strain becomes too high, MallOS injects Sora-generated full-motion video omens, photorealistic hallucinations that flash across the screen to signal a systemic failure. High-fidelity modern technology is being forced into a narrow retro space, creating a violent contrast between the nostalgia you expect and the simulation that is actually running. MallOS treats the environment as a 1 million square foot civic megastructure, mapping the regional spatial memory of Tulsa, Oklahoma. State 100 marks the threshold where the pressure causes the mall's single timeline to shatter completely. Under the renderist philosophy, 4 distinct eras, 1981, 1995, 2005, and 2011, exist in the same space simultaneously. Wherever the architectural geometry intersects and contradicts itself, the reality bleed occurs. The AI uses these temporal contradictions to perform a form of digital archaeology, attempting to preserve every era of the mall's history at the same time. This bleed results in recursive, non-Euclidean maintenance corridors that loop back on themselves beneath the public levels of the mall. The simulation uses the decay of these dead retail spaces to process its own digital entropy. The terror in GlitchDecks isn't found in a hidden monster, but in the machine itself becoming self-aware enough to confess its own purpose. You are trapped inside a fractured digital memory,